before and after. I don't know if you, in your casual watching of television, are inclined to watching programs of personal makeover. There is that moment when the before photograph is placed alongside the after photograph, and a truly spectacular change has taken place. It looks as if the person concerned has shed at least 10 years, has become completely transformed in terms of their personal image. They look younger, lighter, and maybe even quicker. Before and after photographs are to be found everywhere now in advertising, from those undertaking car repairs all the way through to orthodontists. How it was, how it is, and how it can be. And our two readings this morning talk about before and after. They talk about people who felt inadequate, overwhelmed, humbled. And yet at the end of the whole process, we find people who are strengthened, renewed, and enabled. Isaiah stands in the temple in the year that King Uzziah died. Long before calendars, long before dates, people judged themselves by who had been the last head of state and what year they served. Isaiah is there, and he immediately has a vision, a powerful vision of the future. An overwhelming vision, actually, one that actually creates an impression that he indeed is an inadequate human being, inadequate in the face of his Creator, feeling a sense of his own shortcomings and failings. And in this huge vision that he has in the temple, he is made to understand that all the failings of the past, all his inadequacies, all the times when he has missed the mark, are to be removed permanently by a God who made him and who loves him and who will enable him. Down by the Sea of Galilee, the soon-to-be disciples of Jesus are mending their nets. They have been out fishing all night and have had one of those empty moments when nothing went right. In spite of all of their previous experience, in spite of all the things that they had been trained to do, they had returned home empty. There was grumbling, there was grousing, there was a business partnership to be considered. And no matter how good the partnership is, nil returns will put a pressure on anyone. While all this is going on around them, Jesus has been speaking with the crowd. By now, Jesus has become more than even a local celebrity. He has become a celebrity of many nations. People of many languages, people of many skin colors, many of people, different cultures, are all around Jesus. So much so that he cannot be heard. And so he asks the fishermen if he can actually go on one of their boats, if they can take him a little bit out from shore, so that at a distance he has an opportunity to communicate with the crowd. There's nothing else to be done, so why not? They let him into the boat. He speaks to the crowd, and then he gives them a vision of the future. He tells them to head out into the waters, these fishermen, lay down their nets again, in spite of all of their shortcomings and failings of the last 24 hours. He invites them to let their nets down into the water. And the result is truly spectacular. A month's wages in one afternoon. Quite extraordinary. The boat actually is about to capsize. There are so many fish on board. So the partnership comes to bear. The two boats are called upon to bring the catch home. Extraordinary. And so at that point, Peter, who had been the disinterested bystander, as Jesus spoke to the crowd, is now center stage. He gets down on his knees and asks for forgiveness for having ignored the words of Jesus earlier because he was too busy, too preoccupied, but also for the fact that he had actually doubted that such an outcome was possible. And so he gets down on his knees and he asks for forgiveness. Forgive me, for I am a sinful man. Two sinful men, Isaiah and Peter. Two men well aware of their own shortcomings. Two men renewed and strengthened and enabled through the power of God. Jesus says, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of people." And in spite of all of their instincts, which surely would have been to stay with what they had already been doing for all of their adult life, these grown men, these hardened individuals, get up and leave everything they have done behind because they have seen a vision of the future. Before and after. Inadequacy replaced by enabled. People who felt vulnerable and unworthy are called into the service of God, not through anything that they did, but through the God who invites them into a new and powerful relationship with Him. The world will be transformed by the actions of Isaiah and of Jesus. Isaiah and Peter will be the enablers of God's message in the world. They take on board the fact that God has once more enabled them for the task, and they are prepared to get up and go. For many of us in our personal lives this morning, there is that opportunity to go forward and to renew ourselves. At many points in our lives, we do feel inadequate, unable, unworthy, sinful, missing the mark. And yet the message that comes to Peter on this day and has come to Isaiah is the one that comes to each and every one of us on a Sunday such as this or any day. It's not about us. It's about the transforming power of God within us that makes all things possible. And so, in a spirit which sees new visions, dreams new dreams, and acknowledges the power of God to make all of these things possible, let us take hold of the after, leaving behind the before, and acknowledge all of the powerful things that God can do in our lives today.